The wrong way to house hunt.
Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt. So the wrong way to house hunt. We had a great example today, and it might shock you. It's somebody trying to go at it alone without a real estate professional, but don't click off yet because you might be surprised at what's coming ahead.
You might learn something.
Might. So we have a house for sale, and of course, the seller wants ready, willing, and able buyers. That means you're ready to buy and you're able to buy. This typically involves a pre-approval letter from a mortgage professional. So our seller, we've had a couple inquiries where the buyer is trying to go at it alone, not use a professional, contact the seller's agent, myself or Allison, directly so they can see the house. Typically, I think consumers do this because they think they're going to get a better deal.
Oh, yeah. They definitely think that they're gaming the system and they don't need a realtor and they're going to save all this money and yada, yada, yada.
And that's, for another day. But here's how it's actually working against this individual. Let's say the house is listed for $300,000. So anybody who's not working with a real estate professional has to provide proof that they can afford to buy the place. We don't want just strangers walking in and off the street that aren't serious about buying a home, right? There's a safety issue there as well. I'm on the phone with the gentleman and he said to me, the house is listed for $300,000 and he has a pre-approval letter for $150,000. I said, okay.
It's a little short.
It's not the price of the home. The home is $300,000, sir. Oh, but I've cash to make up the difference. So he has $150,000 cash. Great. Have your lender write you a pre-approval letter for $300,000 with 50% down.
Would take your lender 5 minutes.
That's what I said. He pushed back as I think he thought I didn't understand that he had cash. And I'm trying to tell him, I completely understand you have cash. If you have cash, your lender should be able to modify your letter. And I'm thinking to myself, honestly, assuming you have a legit lender, you didn't just make it up, grab it from some online random place, right? This should be a common request. He pushes back and says something like, well, if I have enough cash to buy it outright, wouldn't you just need proof of funds then?
That's great.
Great. Okay. So now I need $300,000 in proof of funds. I start getting screenshots of like Bitcoin.
We don't do housing transactions in Bitcoin.
How do I know who this person is? How do I know these are their accounts? How do I know they didn't just screenshot it from anywhere? These are not verifiable funds.
Correct.
The easiest way for me to know your funds are verifiable is that your lender verified them, a mortgage professional, and put it into the letter. Now you have me trying to juggle whether it's verified, if it's you, if it's yours, if it's your money or not your money. And I'm trying to piece this together to give it to my seller so they can make a decision whether or not they're going to let this person even see the home. I went back and forth, and now he sent the screenshots of the Bitcoin something, which I can't verify. There's no person. Oftentimes there'll be like a financial advisor if somebody has cash or a bank letter, and they'll verify and there'll be somebody to call.
Account statement, something.
Yeah. Like we bank with US Bank, I could call up, say, hey, could you give me a verification letter, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't have that. So I ask him, you said you had a pre-approval for $150,000. I would like to see that. He sends that over. I did Google the bank. It does seem to exist. The person seems to have a, license number, but it is the worst loan pre-approval letter I've ever seen. It didn't include any percentage down. Most loan letters will say, we approve Jane and John Doe for $150,000 with 20% down conventional at a finance rate of blah, 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 blah. They have been pre-approved or pre-qualified. Here's my contact information. All it said is that they're approved for $150,000 and subject to appraisal and contact me if you're having problems. And even the formatting of the document didn't look professional. I'm not to say that it's legit or not legit. I'm just telling you in 19 years, even if it is legit, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in the lender who just gave it to you, that they actually verified assets and that this is a thing.
Part of our responsibility as an agent of the seller or of the buyer if we're working with the buyer, but in this case we were working with the sellers, is to do our due diligence and protect our client at all costs. That's what we're supposed to do.
It's ultimately not my decision whether or not the home gets shown. I just have to be consistent. And we have consistently required proof of funds from anybody who, and verified those funds from anybody who was unrepresented by a real estate professional. So I'm following through on that. But I do have to go back to my seller and say,
this seems sketchy.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. It seems sketchy.
But at the same time, the person responded. I looked up the bank exists. I might have to dig a little bit more and maybe go around this person and call somebody higher up at the bank that I Googled and say, does this person work for you? Look up their number, their license number, etc. But all of this extra work that is going on behind the scenes for me to send it to my seller for them to approve or not somebody entering their house based on their funds is, one, delaying them from getting into the house while other showings are going on. It is also making us feel uncomfortable about, why wouldn't you just use a real estate professional? And even if you weren't, why wouldn't you take 5 minutes, call your loan officer and say, hey, can you adjust this letter for 5 seconds and say, I can afford $300,000 and I have 50% down? If the lender knows you, they're going to do that for you in a second. It'll take 2 minutes and you would have solved all the problems. But the fact you don't want to do that and you're arguing with me over it, I don't know why you want to get in this.
I think there's a misconception out there in the ethos that, if you're well informed, that you can do better without a realtor. And we know that, and it's not just because we are realtors, but
Maybe
we
a
know
little.
that maybe a little. But usually it's not the best path for you. And usually you're either going to end up spending more money if you're the buyer or lose more money if you're the seller. I mean, it's just the way it is.
And here's the thing. Somebody who's coming to me, I feel like they're less serious of a buyer. And now I'm jumping through a lot of hoops that if you just had a professional and you were doing things right, I mean, there's some reason why you're trying to cut corners. I don't know what those reasons are. And
Exactly.
now I'm trying to figure out why I just can't have proof of funds. That's really all we're requiring, a verifiable proof of funds and just a lot of hoops to jump through. So it's going to delay because I can't, I'm doing the work of two. I'm doing the work of who his agent would represent him. His agent would verify all those and come to me and they would get in the house.
There's
Just like that.
there's a lot of moving parts to even the most commonplace real estate transaction. And to not use a realtor, I think, unless you previously were a realtor and you just don't have your license anymore, but you know everything, or there's got to be some unusual situation going on for you to benefit to not using a realtor, in my opinion.
Well, this was just one example of how not using an agent is definitely working against this buyer. And somebody else could buy it in the meantime.
Oh, yeah.
So think about that before you go about house hunting the wrong way. And if you like this, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace. Use a realtor. So what are we doing?
What I just said it. You're house hunting all wrong. I just forgot it. What was it?
I just said the ones that I remembered. You're house hunting wrong, or stop house hunting this way, or
the wrong way to house hunt. How did we say? I'm the one who came up with it. You can at least remember it.
the wrong way to prepare for a real estate dirt video.
It's also that.
Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt. How to not get along with your spouse while recording a real estate dirt video. Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt. How to further exacerbate the situation about recording a real estate dirt video. Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt.
I got nothing. Let me know when you're ready to actually do the things.
So you want me to say how not to...
The wrong way to house hunt.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready.